Hey guys, so there have been a ton of trailers that have been released since the Super Bowl and during the week afterwards. So many different trailers that have come out, which is usually expected around Super Bowl time. They want to start getting you hyped up for those upcoming movies as well as those summer movies. So there have been a ton of trailer releases, and instead of going one by one and doing every single one and cramming a ton of videos out at the same time, I just decided to do them all at once. Just get it out of the way, do every single one I could possibly think of, or at least that I'm willing to talk about, and then we'll go ahead and take it from there. So let's go ahead and get started with the first one. So first up, we have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, I actually did do a trailer review for this movie already, but this is the Super Bowl spot, so it's a little bit different. Now, for this trailer, I actually think we got a lot more context as to what's going to be happening in this movie, and it actually got me a lot more excited than the first trailer. I actually think that this Super Bowl trailer should have been the first trailer. There was a lot more meat and weight to it and things that actually had me interested that the first trailer just didn't do. I think if they would have supercut kind of the two together, would have kept a lot of the meat of this one and story elements that we're sort of finding out it's going to be happening in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, plus added some little bits like Ian Malcolm talking about how life finds a way, added into this trailer, it would have been a much better trailer overall. I'm still really excited for this movie. My biggest concern, though, is that, especially you get to see in this trailer, not so much in the other ones, is that there's this little girl that shows up in the beginning and a little bit more towards the end of the trailers. I have a big concern that that might be Owen and Claire's daughter. I hope they don't Revenge of the Mummy this and sort of add that kid element, that kid being introduced into this world of dinosaurs and having to figure everything out. I really hope they don't go that route, but I guess time will tell and we'll find out when the movie comes out. Now next we have Mission Impossible Fallout. Now this is the 6th film of the Mission Impossible franchise, of course still starring Tom Cruise, but this one looks to be have the heaviest emphasis on cinematography. It looks like they're using a lot of sort of bigger scope shots as well as like those really captivating visual style shots as well. Looks like there's a couple in like a club or a bar. There's a lot of different scenes just in the trailer alone that makes me feel like they're going for a more grander scale, higher quality type of film. Not that the rest isn't very high quality, I just feel like this one is trying to align itself more along that James Bond sort of feel to it, which I definitely like because I feel like a lot of the James Bond movies have stumbled lately. And I think Tom Cruise in some way sort of makes the great counterpart of an American James Bond with Ethan Hunt. So I'm really looking forward to that. But the thing that really has me most excited about Mission Impossible Fallout has hands down got to be Superman himself, Henry Cavill, fully mustached and no CGIing it out. And I'm really looking forward to him. I'm a big fan of Henry Cavill. He's supposed to be a CIA agent in this one. So I'm really looking forward to how he's going to interact with Tom Cruise's character as he's going to be after him. It looks like there's a scene in a bathroom where they're fighting not necessarily against each other, but against some other group. So I don't know if they're going to be competing against each other after the same item, whatever the mission may be. I'm not really sure yet, but I'm still definitely excited for Mission Impossible Fallout. Up next, we have Skyscraper. Now, this one is the big budget action film, I guess, starring The Rock. I think that's going to be his second one of the summer. I don't know the exact date of this one. It just said summer as far as I remember. But along with Rampage, he's going to have another massive year. This is more his big action-y sort of film, kind of like along the lines of San Andreas was a couple of years ago. Along with, I think that came out the same year as Fate of the Furious, if I'm not wrong. But he likes to do those big movies. This one looks like it's going to be a lot more him doing physical things versus in Rampage. I'm sure he's going to be doing plenty of physical things, but this one has a lot more weight, I think, to it. A lot more sort of emotional weight, things that he actually has to connect with. His family seems to be in danger. Essentially, this movie just looks like the updated 2018 version of Die Hard to me. Not to speak ill will of anything against the movie. I obviously haven't even seen it yet. But just based on what's happening, giant building under attack by what looks to be some sort of terrorist type of group. I'm not entirely sure, mercenaries that are after some sort of object in the building. And we're going to find out what that is. And there's a scene of The Rock sort of jumping across the building, hanging, he's all dirtied up, all that stuff. It's basically 2018's Die Hard to me. It adds a couple of elements with the full family being in the building. They're sort of living in the building. There's a couple of elements of like he's a war veteran who lost his leg. Some new sort of updated things, but it's essentially Die Hard in 2018. I'm not super looking forward to this one, but I'm sure I will see it at some point. Probably not opening weekend, but I do still plan on seeing Skyscraper. All right, so up next we have Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, this is the big Star Wars film that's going to be for this year, 2018. Technically, Last Jedi was 2017, so this one's going to be happening a little bit earlier for Memorial Day, which is going to be interesting to see how it releases then, as more of a summery type of movie versus later in the year. I know the original Star Wars were released in the summer, so we'll see how that goes. So essentially this one is the story of, you guessed it, Han Solo. It's a younger Han Solo, which I really wasn't anticipating looking forward to. This movie doesn't really have me super captivated. I'm intrigued, but I'm not really dying to go and see it. It does have a lot of elements of things that I am very interested in seeing. There's that sort of dialogue at the beginning of him saying like he was not a smuggler, but he was pulling scams since he was 10, kicked out of the flight academy, things like that had me kind of intrigued. But the story itself, I really could care less about. I'm really not interested in the guy that's going to be playing Han Solo. I think he might have a shot of being able to pull off the character. I don't really know as of yet. Obviously, I haven't seen it. I haven't really seen him in anything else, so I don't really want to say, yeah, he's the perfect Han Solo, but I think it could work. I'm not one of those diehards that has to have Harrison Ford in this movie. I've seen a couple of people say, I wonder what Harrison Ford was thinking about when he watched the trailer for this. I bet you $100 he'd never even watched it because he hates Star Wars pretty much. He hates everything about it at this point in his life, and he's just pretty much done with it, so who cares? I'm really not looking forward to the Emilia Clarke. I'm not looking forward to Chewbacca, Woody Harrelson, none of that. The main character that has me intrigued is Donald Glover as Lando. He hands down is my favorite actor, writer, producer, musician on the planet right now. I absolutely love everything Donald Glover does. He is hands down the reason I will go and see this movie opening weekend. Everything else I really could care less about, but I really just don't have a whole lot of anticipation for this movie. It wasn't the movie a lot of us were asking for as Star Wars fans, so I think we're just sort of meh. And I think the fact that they released the trailer 3 months before the actual release of the movie is a bit of a bold move. I know this movie had a lot of problems getting released, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing considering how Cloverfield Paradox released a trailer during the Super Bowl and then was immediately available after the Super Bowl. So a 3-month window is actually not that bad to get you intrigued in. I think that just because it's had a lot of problems and other movies release 6-7 months in advance, I think that's a little bit too long of a wait, but I think this one sort of has my intrigue, but I'm hands down going for Donald Glover. But I'm still interested in Han Solo, but hopefully it'll be good. That's all I can say about it for now. Now we have the very short, about 30-second TV spot for Avengers Infinity War. We did get to see a couple of new things that we haven't seen before. We got to see Iron Man with Spider-Man in the Iron Spider suit with Doctor Strange. We got to see Iron Man sort of armor sort of coming on like the Power Rangers armor, ironically, sort of appearing on him. That was kind of interesting. There's really nothing new that we haven't seen. There's a little bit more Captain Nomad, Captain America's version of not having a country or whatever now. But that's about it. There's really not a whole lot that was introduced or told us about the new movie, but honestly, it really doesn't need any marketing at this point, in my opinion. It's the culmination of 10 years of movies, storytelling work all together from this production company of Marvel and all these characters coming together. I don't think there's really much needed for promotion for this movie. The movie's essentially selling itself. If you haven't been able to see any of the past 10 years of movies that these people have released, you probably are living under a rock or are in some country with no internet. I don't know what the case may be, but it's possible that they want to get that recognition out there. But like I said, I don't think it's needed. It's been 10 years. We all know it's coming. Anybody who is seen a single Marvel film or in the MCU versions at least, anybody who's aware that these superheroes exist, we live in a time of superhero movies. So it's very clear that this movie is coming. I don't think much marketing is needed, but the fact that they put in a 30-second spot, I think that was more than enough. Hats off to them for what they've accomplished over the past 10 years, and I really hope that Infinity War lives up to all the hype because the hype is definitely real for it. All right, and now so we have up next is going to be the trailer for Westworld Season 2. Now, I've actually never done a review for Westworld Season 1, although it was hands down one of the most intriguing shows, beautifully shot shows. I love the story of it that I've ever seen. I loved Westworld Season 1. Definitely left you on a cliffhanger, and the fact that we've had to wait, I think it's been like a year, something, probably more than a year and a half, close to 2, since we last caught up with these characters. I'm very excited. The world is very rich with amazing, beautiful visuals. There's tons of things to see. The story arc, I have no idea where it's going. I really just hope we get to see maybe a couple of other worlds, how it interacts, or possibly even the characters from Westworld going out into the real world of whatever universe they live in. I would love to see the modern day, if the technology they have now is how it is inside of Westworld, I would love to see what it looks like on the outside world. I think that would be really intriguing. That's kind of what it looks like it might be leaning towards with some of the characters. But I'm not entirely sure. But I'm definitely really looking forward to Westworld Season 2. I think that comes out in April. I'll most likely wait until it's done with its run just so I can binge watch it, because I don't think I can wait a couple of weeks in between each episode or whatever it may be. I'm going to have to binge watch that one. So I might have to wait until it's all over, avoid all spoilers at all costs, and then just binge the whole thing afterwards. We'll see how that goes. All right, so up next we have Deadpool 2. Now this movie is going to be phenomenal. Deadpool was one of my favorite movies, action movies, comedies, superhero movies of all time. So I'm really looking forward to the sequel. We're finally getting some more Cable things, which is really good. We're seeing how he's sort of interacting, how he moves, all the badassery that is Cable. So I'm really looking forward to that. This trailer did take a couple of shots at like CGI and how long it takes to develop, things like that. Unfinished CGI, and even took a shot at Justice League with the mustache thing with Henry Cavill, which I think it's pretty much in the vein of Deadpool. A little bit cheap, but I feel like it's in the vein of Deadpool, which kind of makes it okay again. But I'm really excited for this movie. I really liked how they sort of cut to that Deadpool moment of him playing with the action figures, sort of filling in time for the trailer. That was really creative, I think. But I just don't, the one thing that I'm really concerned about, I loved everything about the trailer. Every action scene, getting to see Negasonic Teenage Warhead coming back, getting to see Dopinder in a scene, how they're going to interact with Cable, things like that. All that's really exciting. But the one sort of thing that nitpicked at me was that sort of ending line where Cable looks like he's sort of maybe possibly first meeting Deadpool in the current time. I'm not sure. But he basically insults him in some way. And then Ryan Reynolds just looks at the camera and says, like something about the writing being bad, the very cheap writing or poor writing, something along those lines. I really didn't like that line. I don't know. I felt like that line in itself was cheap. I feel like they could have said about a million other things that would have felt a lot more Deadpool-y or quippy or whatever you may want to call it. That would have fit the moment a lot better. Obviously, I can go back and change it. I'm hoping it might be a little bit different in the movie, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But that doesn't deter me from the fact that I'm really excited for Deadpool 2, and I really cannot wait to see what happens with these characters and the story. So many great things to come. All right, so we made it. We are finally at the end, the last trailer. The one I'm going to be talking about now is Venom. Now, this one is going to be about Venom, the actual villain of Spider-Man, sort of counterpart, symbiote, evil version of Spider-Man. This one's going to be starring Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock. This one I'm kind of on the fence about. I have a lot of concerns, but I don't really know how to feel about it. I like Venom, but I just really like symbiote Spider-Man himself a lot better. Not Spider-Man 3 symbiote version, but comic version or like 90s cartoon version. I like that one a lot. But this one's going to be about Eddie Brock, essentially. A lot of people are up in arms about his accent. Tom Hardy is pretty much a chameleon himself. He can do a variety of sort of accents. Obviously, it's going to be sort of the New York-based style. So he does have very much a New Yorker accent, which I'm fine with. It makes sense. A lot of people are also up in arms about not seeing Venom himself. I am kind of in that crowd, not necessarily. We do get a very quick shot of the symbiote in like a canister type of thing. That was okay. We got to see it moving a little bit. But we never got to see Tom Hardy as Venom or the sort of symbiote attacking him in any way. I feel like if we would have gotten just that little bit of nugget from behind, like his back or anything like that, I think that would have been a much better trailer overall, if I'm nitpicking. But I think just that inner comic book nerd in myself just wants to see how Venom's going to look, how he's going to move, all these other things. But of course, they can't give us everything with that first trailer. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Hopefully it's good. There's a rumor that Tom Holland will appear in the movie at some point, probably just as Peter Parker, not necessarily as Spider-Man, but to see the worlds sort of collide would definitely be interesting. Kind of on the fence, like I said, about Venom. I feel like very much the same way about Venom as I do with Skyscraper. I probably will see it, probably not opening weekend, not first in the line in the theater, cramming in with everybody else, but I have general interest. Oh, okay, we made it. That was all the trailers that I wanted to get out of my system, all into one big pretty video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a comment down below what you thought about each of these trailers, or if you want to talk about one specifically. I would love to hear about your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. But other than that, that's all I really have. I said my piece about these trailers. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.